Professor Alan Dershowitz joining the show live. He is also the author of a new book, Get Trump, The Threat to Civil Liberties, Due Process, and Our Constitutional Rule of Law. You can buy that book wherever books are sold.
I got to say this also. One of the highlights of my legal career was being able to stand alongside Alan Dershowitz on the floor of the United States Senate for a historic trial of the impeachment of a president, and to be able to call Alan Dershowitz a colleague. You know, Alan, I said during the last segment of the broadcast that, you know, you and I should file a brief when this thing goes to the Court of Appeals, because it's going to obviously go all the way up. On the First Amendment issues, between you and I, we probably handled most of the major First Amendment cases in the country. But the interesting aspect of this, your book, Get Trump, you outlined this when you wrote this book. We should take this book and make it an amicus brief.
Well, I predicted it, and I get my predictions right because I don't predict based on wishful thinking. CNN always gets its predictions wrong because they don't predict. They try to create self-fulfilling prophecies. I predicted, for example, that the judge would not accept the Hunter Biden plea as written, and I predicted this indictment. This is a very, very dangerous indictment. First, I want to join you, and it was a highlight of my career to stand next to you, a great man, and to consider you both a colleague and a friend over the years. We've disagreed about a great many things, particularly separation of church and state, but we agree essentially on most aspects of the First Amendment, especially free speech. As you say, I've litigated many of the most important free speech cases, Pentagon Papers case, the Deep Throat case, many, many others, but I've always been on the side of the left on those issues, because I don't make a distinction between left and right when it comes to free speech. You know, as Chief Justice Rehnquist put it very well in a terrible case involving, Reverend Falwell being horribly defamed by Hustler magazine and other cases like that. There's no such thing under the First Amendment as a false opinion. And the issue in this case is whether or not Trump was expressing an opinion that he honestly believed. You know Trump, I know Trump, and we both know he believes this. I think he was wrong. I think he was dead wrong. I said so on television. I voted against him twice. I demand my constitutional right to vote against him a third time. And I don't want any bureaucrat or prosecutor to deny me the right to vote against him or you the right to vote for him. Those decisions should be made by the voters, just like decisions about truth or falsity, as Rehnquist again said, and he was quoting or paraphrasing Thomas Jefferson. The answer to false statements made by politicians is to correct them in the marketplace of ideas and to run against them. And, ever since the Alien and Sedition Acts were basically voted down by the 1800 election in which Jefferson beat John Adams, in large part on that issue.
It's interesting because I raised the Alien and Sedition Act in a Supreme Court oral argument I had on a free speech case, saying that this is, again, this kind of criminalization of free speech. Look, I think Donald Trump would pass a lie detector test, thinking the election was stolen. And it's not a question of whether you think it was stolen or not think it was stolen. He's now been accused, Alan, criminally of violating the laws based on his thoughts and beliefs. To me, this is the most serious challenge to political speech I have seen, certainly in our lifetime.
Well, I think what the government is going to try to do, and it's going to be a stretch, they're going to try to argue that he should have known and that any reasonable man would have known. And in the indictment, it includes lots of good people we know and respect, telling him, look, you're not correct about this. No, it didn't happen that way in Michigan. No, it didn't happen that way in Arizona. No, it didn't happen that way in Pennsylvania. And they're going to try to prove that even if he didn't believe it, he should have. And whether or not you can make a First Amendment protected speech into a crime based on should have rather than actually did is going to be an interesting question that the courts will obviously have to deal with. And you and I will be on the side of saying, no, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he actually believed it. Now, getting into separation of church and state, we both have religious backgrounds. How many preachers get up there on a Sunday or on a Saturday, a rabbi, and say, look, God is going to, and if you make prayers, it's going to be answered. You think every pastor and every minister and every priest and every rabbi at every moment of their life believes in their own theology? Of course they have doubts. Human beings always have doubts, and we would never criminalize that. Do you think every politician who says, if you elect me, it'll be better for the country, actually believes it? Most of them probably do, but not all of them do. And you're absolutely right. We're getting into the realm of psychoanalysis, not the realm of law, and certainly not the realm of the First Amendment. So this is a dangerous, dangerous case. But, my former friends on the left are not going to see that because they don't care about the Bill of Rights. They don't care about the First Amendment. Larry David, when he saw me in Martha's Vineyard a couple of years ago, and I said to him, "Can't we talk?" And he screamed at me, "You're disgusting, you're despicable because you defended Trump." He thought he was speaking to Heinrich Himmler and that I was defending Adolf Hitler. That's how extreme people on the hard left have become when it comes to Donald Trump. They're prepared to do anything, sacrifice anything. Take, for example, the Espionage Act, which has been touted by Professor Tribe and others as the way of getting Donald Trump. Every liberal since 1918 has opposed the Espionage Act. It has put in jail Eugene V. Debs, so many people on the left. But now these same people are asking to expand the Espionage Act to make sure it covers everything that Donald Trump did. The hypocrisy is just rampant. That's why I wrote my book, Get Trump, because as a liberal, as a civil libertarian, as a person who is a Democrat, who's always voted Democrat, I am as appalled as any Republican or conservative can be about this misuse of the law and this weaponization of our criminal justice system.
And there's another aspect to this that I'm very concerned about. And you and I have talked about this over the past couple of years. We've helped lawyers that have found themselves in harm's way. But here's what I'm concerned about. They also, if you read the unnamed co-conspirators, and we pretty much know who they are, this criminalization of the practice of law because you have an aggressive theory or a novel theory, I mean, that should send chills but for the entire defense bar throughout the United States.
Hoping that the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers will file an amicus brief. In my case, as you know, Project 65, the 65 Project, said they were going to disbar and discipline any lawyer who defended Trump. So I wrote an op-ed saying, if any lawyer is disciplined or disbarred as a result of Project 65, I will defend them. And immediately they filed a bar charge against me. And I've had to now spend, tens and tens of thousands of dollars defending myself against a frivolous bar charge. So they're coming after me. I wouldn't be surprised if they came after you. They'll come after every lawyer who ever defended Donald Trump. So we're seeing not only the First Amendment endangered, we're seeing the Sixth Amendment endangered. And if you want to talk about the route to tyranny, the two things that tyrants do is first they abolish freedom of speech, and then they abolish freedom of lawyers to represent their clients zealously opposed to government positions. So this indictment puts us on that terrible, terrible slippery slope toward tyranny.
100% correct. That's exactly the right analysis. Eliminate free speech, silence the lawyers. And that's exactly what the plan is here. Alan Dershowitz, the book is Get Trump. Great book, great read. We need Alan Dershowitz in this fight, folks. This is a fight for freedom that is very, very important. Alan, thanks for being with us.
Join the ACLJ in the fight to keep America free.